So Manny Pacquiao beats the brakes off Lucas Matthysse en route to a 7th round TKO victory in Malaysia. This was really a one-sided fight. Matthysse was down in the 3rd, 5th and 7th, and he never looked like posing Pacquiao any kind of issues whatsoever. Now, a lot of people expected a one-sided fight. I saw Dwyer's video and several other people making predictions online saying they expected this to be one-sided. But for me personally, I was a bit more circumspect. Obviously, I always felt a prime Pacquiao, a Pacquiao anywhere near his best, would take care of Matthysse. But what we have today is not a prime Pacquiao. We've got a 39-year-old Pacquiao who's had nearly 70 fights. And a fighter in that position can turn old overnight. I mean, you look at Miguel Cotto when he fought Sadam Ali. I mean, Sadam Ali couldn't have laced Miguel Cotto's boots in his prime. But he caught him at the right time after inactivity and what have you, and he was able to beat him. So, for me, that's why I was a little circumspect when it comes to this fight, because I don't know what Pacquiao's got left. Obviously, it's different because Sadam Ali is closer to his prime than Lucas Matthysse. But still, Lucas Matthysse is, how old is he? What, 35? And obviously, Matthysse hasn't really been the same. Some people are saying since the Postol fight. I mean, that was definitely a damaging defeat for him. Victor Postol, I remember that fight. He looked sad when he was, down against Postol. But really, he hasn't been the same since the Danny García fight. That was really the end of the Lucas Matthysse that we all know. You know the Lucas Matthysse who ran through Lamont Peterson and all these other guys? That ended during the night of the Danny García fight. I remember for years people were debating who was better, Lucas Matthysse or his countryman Marcus Maidana. Retrospectively, when we look at it, we have to say Maidana was a lot better than Matthysse. He certainly appeared to be the mentally tougher of the two, Marcus Maidana. Matthysse was a bit more correct in his technique, but Maidana just seemed to be a stronger character mentally. And it's kind of unfortunate that we never got to see them fight in the ring because it would have been fun. They fought as amateurs. Anyway, back to the matter at hand. Manny Pacquiao defeating Lucas Matthysse. And this was for the WBA regular belt at welterweight. It remains to be seen if Manny Pacquiao decides to go on and maybe try unify with one of the other champions at 147 who have one of the proper belts. I did hear somebody online claim that this was the WBA super belt, but here on BoxRec it only says WBA World Welterweight title, which is the regular version. So we'll see, I guess, in due course. And Manny Pacquiao at the post-fight press conference expressed his desire to fight Terence Crawford, Amir and VASYL Lomachenko. Those were the 3 names he brought up. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing any of those fights, even though I've said long time that I prefer Manny Pacquiao to retire. Those would obviously be passing of the torch fights, particularly Crawford and Lomachenko. They're passing of the torch fights. Whereas Amir Khan, I mean, you know what? For some reason, I like the Amir Khan story. I find him entertaining. I find him fun and funny, even when he's not meaning to. In fact, usually when he's not meaning to be. That's when I find Khan the most funny. I wouldn't mind seeing Khan against Pacquiao. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to lie. However, here's what I will say. Pacquiao's performance against Matthysse might have flattered him. Matthysse, to me, just didn't seem there mentally in this Pacquiao fight. As I say, I think the Postol fight and the loss against Danny García really took a toll on him mentally. And he just wasn't there. There was no fire in Matthysse's belly at all against Manny Pacquiao. He tried to box, and really, I think Yoel Diaz was trying to get him to emulate what Marquez had done. But he's no Marquez. And even if he was, Pacquiao's not falling for the same things that he used to fall for. He's a bit more wily and wise in his old age. The first knockdown occurred in the 3rd round, and Pacquiao didn't jump all over Lucas Matthysse. He was cautious. He knew Matthysse could punch, so he took his time. The second knockdown was strange because Matthysse just appeared to take a knee without really taking any serious shots. The 3rd knockdown in the 7th, that was a more significant knockdown where you could see the damage he took prior to going down. But be that as it may, yeah, Matthysse just didn't have any fire in his belly at all. That was not the same Matthysse who fought Peterson and all those other guys. He wasn't even the same Matthysse who fought Danny Garcia, who was, visibly trying to get punches on. Whereas against Pacquiao, yeah, he was trying to do his best Marquez impression. It wasn't working, but there was just nothing in the tank from him. He was out of his comfort zone too. This fight wasn't in the Philippines, but close enough. It was in Malaysia. It was in the same region of the world. And it was a massively pro-Pacquiao crowd. They cheered every jab, every flick that Pacquiao threw was met with rapturous applause and cheers. And it's actually scary seeing the level of fanaticism that there is for Manny Pacquiao in that part of the world. These people are deeply fanatical when it comes to Pacquiao. They're almost as bad as some of the Deontay Wilder fanboys. Almost as bad. Not quite. Not quite. So, yeah. Let me know what you guys think anyway. I'm kind of caught in two minds about Pacquiao. Half of me wants him to retire. The other half is like, oh, well, maybe those fights could be interesting with Khan and Crawford. And I think the Crawford fight, not so much. But Lomachenko and Khan, yes. I think Crawford would beat Pacquiao. I'm not saying it wouldn't be competitive at all, but I think he'd beat him decisively. Lomachenko and Khan, I think, would be more interesting, personally. And I think Pacquiao would have a better chance against both of those guys than he'd have against Terence Crawford. Khan because of his chin and the familiarity that Pacquiao has with Khan. They've sparred many, many rounds together. And Lomachenko because of his size. Pacquiao, I know he moved up through the weights too, and he started out as smaller than Lomachenko, but at this point, he's been fighting at welterweight and 140 for many, many years. Lomachenko hasn't, so you would have to say Pacquiao's the bigger guy right now, stronger guy, the far more experienced guy as a professional. So it would make for an interesting fight. Pacquiao versus Lomachenko, boy, I'd tune in to watch it. Even though Pacquiao's pushing 40, that's still an interesting fight to me. The size difference compensates for the age disparity, in my view. So, yeah, let me know how you feel about everything I've talked about in this video, people. It's happening, I'm out.